Hello,
Hello.
we're back again. First thing we want to say is if you're not already subscribed, click the subscribe button, hit the notifications, and we'll let you know whenever we release a new video. So a couple of weeks ago, we asked if you had any questions about all the boat builders and narrowboats that we've been to see over the last 3 months, leading up to us making a decision on which boat to buy. And today we're going to try and answer some of those questions. So, first one comes from Martin James from Twitter, and he asks, how different are you finding it buying a boat now as opposed to the last time you did it? Sean.
It's easier the last time
Why?
because we got the first boat we walked onto.
But is that easier, or is that just we've bought the first boat we saw? That's not necessarily easier or harder, is it?
I still say easier because I found it difficult this time because there's been so much choice.
I don't know if that makes it difficult or easy. I think it's easier now because there is so much more choice. Back in 2004, we didn't have Twitter, there were no social media. We were relying on boat shows like Crick, visiting brokers, and like Waterways World magazine. You couldn't really talk to people like you can talk to people now.
Yeah, I suppose you're right, yeah.
So I think the decisions are maybe easier now because there's more access to information than there was back then.
There was none at all back then, was
Not
there?
really. I hope that answers your question, Martin. T-shirts in the post. No, it's not. Next question comes from Jackie Barber, who watches us on YouTube.
Hello.
Jackie says, did you come across any builders or brokers you didn't trust? Ooh.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. And we're not going to dig any dirt because I don't know if you know this, if you should have noticed this by now, but we are the two least negative people on YouTube. Yeah. All right?
There was no one I mistrusted at all.
No. I wouldn't say that I mistrust or didn't trust any of them. I think what we did find is that, especially among the builders, not necessarily the brokers, is that you get a certain builder will say, oh, well, I hear that this other builder does X, Y, Z. But then you go to see the other builder and it's like, well, not really. But then they say the same thing about another. So I think there's like a competition between the builders, especially the independent ones.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them said anything that made me not trust them.
No, and we haven't heard anything from any builder to basically disrespect another builder, have we?
No, we've had no kind of nastiness and negativity.
No, we haven't.
Bit of kind of...
Friendly rivalry.
Yeah, friendly rivalry. A bit of schoolyard politics in regards to one or two particular builders.
Yeah.
Which is one thing we did learn, that there are certain builders that have better reputations than others.
Yeah.
And I think we learned that through finding that a lot of people would say the same thing about a particular builder.
Yeah.
And we still went to see those builders, even though they were getting such a bad reputation. And you do kind of find out the ones that are good and the ones that that we necessarily wouldn't be buying from. Was that subtle enough?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I hope that answered your question, Jackie. Thank you. Next question is from Bob Cummings, another YouTube viewer. Hello, Bob. He says, I've seen new boats with similar specifications that vary in price between £80,000 and £180,000. In your experience, were the really more expensive boats worth the extra? Good question. And it's true as well. It's good because it's true.
I think that if you see a boat you like and you think it's worth paying that price tag, whether it be £50,000 or £150,000, that's your choice. I think the value is in what you think it's worth.
I think narrowboats, what I've learned over the last 3 months is that narrowboat building is like any other industry.
Yeah.
Where you have premiums, you have like a premium brand, you have a more budget brand, you have very luxurious brands, and you pay accordingly. And I think Bob's absolutely right, because you can we could go out and we've looked at some new boats
Yeah.
that we could have got for 80, 90,000 pounds, and the actual features inside them are not much different from boats that were 130,000 pounds. In fact, we saw a boat that was 130,000 pounds, and it wasn't really, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but it wasn't as nice. I don't mean as nice to us, but it wasn't as well featured, it wasn't as well finished, the materials weren't as good. You could see that the time and effort hadn't gone into that boat, and we saw a new boat at just under 100,000, which was actually a lot better, nicer, well featured, more comfortable. It looked better. It would have been better for us living on board than the 130,000 one. And I think it's a premium. And I use the word premium rather than value on purpose. I think some names tend to think they can command a higher price because of the name. I mean, take things like, all right, you could buy some cheap aftershave from George at Asda.
And it might be really nice.
And it might be really nice. Or you could pay £70, £80 for a bottle of Chanel, and you might not like it. And I think it's the same in wherever you are, isn't it?
It's exactly the same.
For us, we looked for a boat and a builder that we loved, that we felt a connection with.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. And I think that's what you have to do when you're looking for a narrowboat. A boat will speak to you, a builder, you will feel a connection with the boat and the builder. And I think it's that spark rather than the price. For us, price was an issue, but not that much of an issue. We saw some boats at £50,000 that were really nice, and we saw some boats at 180,000 that we didn't like. And in the end, we've ended up right on budget with a boat that we really like, and a team of builders that I think are going to do an amazing job.
Yeah, I think so.
Cheers for the question, Bob. Next question is from Kim Marshall. Kim says, what was the worst boat you saw and why? What were we saying about being negative?
Yeah. Well, we saw lots of boats, and a lot of them that I wouldn't live in. And I think that just helped me make my mind up what I really wanted, what we really wanted.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't think we saw necessarily a boat that was worse.
No, we didn't.
We saw a lot of boats that we wouldn't want to live on, but it's kind of like having a cat, isn't it? Mm-hmm. The cat doesn't live with you, you live with the cat. I mean, I know that's like a really bad analogy. I nearly said crap then. I know it's a really bad analogy. But do you know what I mean? It's like that. I think the boat speaks to you. So just because you don't necessarily like a boat doesn't mean to say it's a bad boat or the worst boat.
That's right. It's just not for you.
And we didn't see any kind of horror story boats.
No.
But then, I mean, we weren't out to look at boats that were kind of within a range that we weren't interested in anyway. So that's probably not answered your question. But
we tried.
We tried. That's all that matters, isn't it? Go and make yourself a cup of tea. Next question comes from Dave Beach on Twitter. Hello, Dave.
Hi,
Thank you for that photograph. It was very inappropriate. You should have warned us first. He wants to know, did you consider buying a new sail away and fitting it out yourself?
Yes. Yes, we did. And then we thought of the stress that was going to cause, didn't we?
If you've not seen any of the other vlogs, I mean, I do get quite stressed quite easily.
Don't get stressed.
And we did look, and we did price up the cost of a sail away. And for the kind of spec that we wanted, for the things we were looking for, we could have probably saved easily £20,000.
Easy.
By buying a sail away and doing it ourselves. But go back to vlog number 1. The whole reason we're doing this is because we don't want the stress.
We don't want the stress, do we?
I'm finding it, as life goes on and I'm getting older, I'm finding it more difficult to cope. And I'm trying to do everything I can to make my stress easier, which makes Sean's stress less.
Yeah.
Because the more comfortable and happier I am, the more comfortable and happier Sean is as well. And so, although we could have saved a lot of money buying a sail away, the amount of stress involved for us would have been too much. I know it's a fulfilling experience. I know you can get a lot of satisfaction from building a boat yourself and you learn all sorts of new things. I know all the positives, but for us in our circumstances, the reason we're doing this...
It's for an easy life.
...is an easier life. That might sound selfish, but it's an easier life. And so
Stress-free life.
when we worked out the cost saving against the possible amount of stress that we'd be put under, we just thought, no, for us,
that's right, yeah.
the choice is a fully fitted boat.
Yeah.
And that's why we did it. John Morgan on Twitter says, what advice would you give to anybody who is just starting to look at narrowboats?
Look at as many boats as is humanly possible and be patient.
I think, patience. I think you've got to be determined. And I'll tell you what, I think if you really focused and look at as many boats as you can, you kind of discover for yourself whether it's truly what you want to do.
That's right.
Because I'm not saying we got sick of looking at narrowboats. We didn't. We could look at narrowboats
all day, every day.
All day, every day. But I think that says something about us that we're really sure we want to do this, because we're not getting bored of it. We love it. We love seeing different things on every boat. It's been brilliant. Honestly, the whole process for us has been brilliant. And we must have driven 2,000 miles or more.
Easy.
Looking at boats all over the country. And we've had a blast, and we've met some brilliant people.
Yeah.
Made some brilliant new friends.
Yeah.
And for us, the journey of looking's coming to an end, and we're really happy with the decision we've made. So I think that's what you've got to do. I think it's just look and look and look and look at boats that you wouldn't necessarily have looked at. That's another thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I mean, we've looked at boats that we would have just walked past if we'd have seen it on a towpath, albeit by force. Brokers getting us by the scruff.
Yeah, there's been some boats where we'd have walked past, but we've walked inside and thought, wow.
And one more thing, and some people are going to disagree with me on this.
Probably me.
I don't care. Go back to the Crick Day 2 vlog. That's our most disliked vlog.
Yeah.
I don't care. Towards the end, we sat down the side of the car, out of the wind, because we didn't have a muff for the microphone. And we're kind of describing what our perfect boat, way back in May, what our perfect boat would be like. And after we posted that vlog, we got all sorts of messages from people saying, you need to compromise, you need to be realistic in your expectations, you will not get a boat with everything you want on it. Do you know what?
We have.
We have. Now, I don't mean this in a negative way to anybody who said that, but be determined.
Yeah, you've got to be determined. You have.
The more boats you look at, the more ideas you'll get. You'll start to realise compromises you've got to make.
Yeah.
And we've made some compromises.
Oh, God, yeah.
But we've ticked every box. And I think that's down to the hard work and the mileage. The legwork, you've got to put the legwork in if you want the boat that you want.
Don't forget, you're going to be living on board this thing for a long time.
Yeah. So make it work. Put the effort in and you'll be rewarded. Next question comes from Billy Charlesworth, another YouTube viewer, and he says, Sean, what's the fascination with bungs?
Bung! It's just the word, bung.
What about it?
It's a good word.
It's like moist. Oh.
A moist bung.
A moist bung. You don't want to wake up on a morning to a moist bung, do you? That's condensation for you. Right, nearly there. Next question is from Brian Burns. Mr. Burns!
Mr. Burns! Just realised that.
It's from Mr. Burns, who's another viewer on YouTube. He says,
I just realised that.
He says, you say you've seen over 60 boats and over 12, it's actually more than 12, isn't it? It's about 14, 15 boat builders and brokers. Have you finally decided on which type of toilet you think is best?
Cassette. Yeah, I think so.
Why a cassette?
Cost. It's just going to be...
That's a Yorkshireman's answer, isn't
Cost.
it? Because of the cost.
I'm honest.
Because it's cheap.
It's cheaper. Yeah.
You know what? Right at the beginning of this, we had this toilet conversation. And we know that all boaters' conversations eventually end up talking about toilets. We did it yesterday, weren't we? Mm. We were talking to Nick and Tori at Stanley Ferry.
Yeah.
Tony and Tori.
Tony and Tori, yeah.
At Stanley Ferry. And we were talking for about 20 minutes and eventually ended up talking about toilets. When we started this, we were saying that we'd actually probably want a pump out because we've had a pump out before.
And that was until we went on a second-hand boat, wasn't it?
And that was until we started seeing second-hand boats. And we noticed every single used boat we went on, after a while, we could instantly tell if that boat had a pump-out toilet or not by the smell. I'm not saying it was like a horrible...
No,
like,
they weren't horrible. You could just tell.
you could just tell. The worst one smelled like Monster Munch. You know, like when you open a bag of Monster Munch.
Beef Monster Munch.
And it is not all that bad. But yeah, I think cassette.
Yeah.
Cassette because, A, like Sean says, it's cheaper. I think it is easier than a pump-out. It's less expensive than a pump-out. We're not having to rely on meeting pump-out stations, pump-out points.
That's right. It's just an
L-stands.
we want,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
usually easier to empty a cassette. And cost, I think, cost and the ease of using it. As for composting, I think maybe composting in the future. I just don't think...
When they've improved it.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite right. We've got a couple of friends who have done this and mixed reviews. It's good, but I don't think it's good enough to consider yet.
No, not at the moment.
So, long answer to a short question is cassette. There you go. Right, last one. Shandy off YouTube says, what's the best feature you've seen on all the narrowboats you've looked at?
For me, it's got to be that control system on the Automarine boat.
That was really good. The like the boat management control centre.
It were amazing.
That was really good. That was really good. I was talking to Rob from Automarine for about it must have been about an hour on the day.
Easy.
If you go to the vlog, the link's up there. If you go to the vlog, you'll see me describing it. And if you look at the end of the bloopers, it took about 120 takes.
You see a strop with Colin.
And then I ended up having a strop.
Don't get stressed.
So yeah, I think that's the best feature we've seen. I'll tell you the other one we saw on Ian's boat at Swan Boats, and it was really simple. And he's got his TV on a bracket.
Yeah.
I mean, how simple is that? Having the TV just sitting underneath the gunwales in a cabinet, but it's on a bracket, so it kind of pulls out, so you can watch it while you're sat at the diner.
Sat here in the diner.
Having your tea, and then you can kind of pull it back round if you're chilling out and watching a movie on an evening.
Yeah, that was quite good. Simple.
So it's like a 12 quid bracket, and just simple, but
Yeah,
really,
it was.
really good, effective. I think we want that. So I hope that's answered all your questions. I hope we haven't bored you too much. As the boat build is progressing, if you've got any questions about the boat as it's been built and the progress, just send us a question. You can either email us, or you can just leave a comment underneath, or just ask us on social media. We're on all the social media sites at Foxes Afloat, and just ask us questions.
Yeah.
Honestly, because if we were you and you're thinking about buying a boat, we'd be asking questions.
Yeah, we'd be asking loads of questions.
Okay, so ask questions, and don't forget to watch us vlogs, subscribe and click the notifications icon so we'll let you know every time we've got a new vlog up on YouTube. And click like if you want, and take care for now, and we'll see you next time.
See you later, bye.
3, 2, 1. Are really worth the extra? I think we wanted. Ready? 3, 2. Oh, please be a lady. Next question comes from Bob Cummings. Do that one again. Next question comes from Bob Cummings. Next question. If you changed the S, it would say Bob.
You.
Next.
What you think it's worth?
I fancy pancakes.
What?
Just fancy pancakes. We were talking about them the other day, and I fancy pancakes. That's a good point.
Crazy.
That's a good point. I thought Kim Marshall was in S Club 7, or was that Kim Marsh?
Marsh.
Kim Marsh.
She's now in Coronation Street.
She's now in Coronation Street, and I'm repeating Sean again. Dave Beach, did you consider buying a spillway? I think that means to say sailor.
Spillway. I'm going to say you've written spillway.
He wants to know, did you consider buying a What does that say?
You've written spillway.
I've written spillway. I must have been having meltdown day. Did you consider buying a new sail away and fitting it out yourself? Next question is from John Twitter. No, it's John Morgan. Next question is from John Morgan from Twitter. It's like picking a boyfriend, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Just look at as many as you can.
Try as many as you can.
Will you be quiet while I'm speaking?
Not really. Next question comes from Shandy Green. You gotta stop laughing.
That's another dislike.
Oh, you ready?
Yeah.
Next question. Come on, behave. Right. Our final question comes from Shandy Green.
There we go. You can't.
So, final question. Are you ready?
No.
You're scratching your chin. Final question is from Shandy Green off YouTube. Off for YouTube. She says, what's the best feature you've seen on the boats you've looked at?
Good start again.
Right, you ready? Serious face. Think about something serious. Right.
I'm getting hot now.
Okay. So, last question is from Shandy Green.
Change the name. No, you can't. We've already insulted her.
Right, you ready? Right, last one then. Shandy from YouTube. I can't even just do it with his first name. Ready? Right, last one. Shandy off YouTube says, what's the best feature you've seen on all the narrowboats you've looked at?